Between Book Bites here at the Scott County Public Library in Georgetown, Kentucky. As usual, I am Kelly, and this is Miss Mary Lou.
Hi, and it's good to see you again. We've been gone for a whole month.
Yeah.
A month, yeah.
Yeah. And Book Bites was always going to stay virtual, but we intended to go back in person, but it's getting a little scary out there, guys.
Yeah.
So just to make sure that everybody stays safe, we are going to continue doing virtual programming. You will still find us here. Check out our online calendar to see what we got going on. We are trying to make as many of these things take and makes as possible. Some of them, it just, feasibility-wise, wasn't possible. But as many as possible, you can come and pick stuff up at the children's desk, and then...
Starting after Labor Day.
Yes.
Starting after Labor Day. We're going to have a lot of stuff available.
Yeah.
And just, pay attention to our Facebook page, our online calendar. As soon as the numbers start going back down again and we feel like it's safe, we'll go back to face-to-face programming. But for now, for your sake and for ours, we're going to keep it on the camera.
Yep.
Yeah. So, are you guys back at school yet?
Yes. I think chances are good. You're
Chances
in school.
are good. So
unless something happened in the week that the week between us filming this and this going live. Who knows?
Yeah. So, we're filming this a week ahead of time. But we're going to be talking about books today about...
Back to school.
Going to school. That's right.
Yeah. You want to start?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
So, the first book I read is called Frazzled, which is the series, and the series is called Frazzled. And the first one is called Everyday Disasters and Impending Doom. And this was written and illustrated. What?
That's a title.
Yes. Written and illustrated by Bookie Vivat. And I hope I am saying her name right. It's probably not.
I know
but
not.
Yes, V-I-V-A-T. And, I started this book, and I'm going to be honest with you. I came in and I said, Kelly, this book is really stupid.
She did.
I am not a big graphic literature reader, and this is kind of a crossover between a graphic novel and a full text novel. But once I got into it and got main character, her name is Abby Wu, and she is just starting middle school, 6th grade. She's the middle child. Her brother is like one of these superstars. Like, he's great at everything he does. He's very popular. And she has a little sister who's so cute that she can get away with anything. And Abby is just the dull, unimpressive, unspecial middle child. And she feels her unspecialness deeply. And everything for her is very, very high drama. That's what I had to get used to. It's like, oh my gosh, like just the title, Impending Doom. But once I got kind of into the rhythm of it and getting to know Abby Wu a little bit better, I really started to like her, and I ended up liking the whole thing. I was surprised. I really did. And the third one just came out, by the way. It's on our new bookshelf. But just briefly, she's starting middle school. She has two really, really good friends, both that are kind of super achievers, and they don't end their friendship, but her friends kind of take off. They have to pick an elective, and their guy friend, he goes off into I think robotics, and her other girlfriend goes off into some kind of art or theater thing, and Abby doesn't know what elective to take, so she takes study hall. How unimpressive is that? But this book is about her finding her voice, and the biggest disappointment for middle school for her was finding out that they still had to eat gross cafeteria food. She had heard that in middle school you could choose pizza or chicken nuggets. Oh, that sounds gross to me. But you could pick those things. Well, it turns out when she got to middle school, no, that's only for the 8th graders.
Oh.
There's a special 8th grade line, and they've got pizza and burgers and chicken nuggets, and they have to eat the brown mush and the soggy vegetables and stuff. So she cooks up a movement of an underground food exchange for those kids that bring their lunches, right? And she begins to find her voice through this underground food exchange movement. Now, you and I both know something is going to go really wrong.
Yeah.
Right? It always does.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're just going to have to read the book and find out what goes wrong and if she ever redeems herself. This is Frazzled, Everyday Disasters, and Impending Doom. So, like I say, so far there's 3 in this series. The third one just came out. Tween section, Scott County Public Library.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to piggyback off of that because I've got another book about being a popular dude's little sister. This is called Kyle's Little Sister by Hyung Jung. I hope I said that right. I think I got pretty close. So Kyle's little sister. No, her name is Grace. But she's very used to being Kyle's little sister because Kyle's great. He's great at sports. He does well in school. He's really nice.
Peter Wu, like Abby's brother.
Yeah,
right.
People just like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he's not a bad big brother, but he teases her because he's her big brother. And she's so excited to be going to middle school, and then she realizes, no, it's going to be the worst year ever. I'm back in school with my brother. Ooh. Yeah, so she's got two best friends. Amy, who is like super over the top, dramatic. You would not like her, Mary Lou. Her older brother and Kyle are very good friends. So Amy and Grace have always been friends too. And they also have another friend named Jay, who's more studious, quiet, shy, but she also has a crush on Kyle. Grace takes that with great dignity. She's like, okay, it's fine. I don't get it because he's my brother, ew. But fine, whatever, because Jay is not over the top about it. She's just like, I wish I didn't tell anybody. Because one night at a sleepover with everybody, since Kyle and Amy's brother are friends, they all end up over at Amy and her brother's house for a sleepover. And there's a bit of a situation. Amy may or may not bump into Jay, who then spills her Coke all over Kyle. And she's like, ooh, now you can talk to him about something. And it does not go well. Jay is very upset. And then Amy gets real upset and is like, I'm only friends with you because your brother is friends with my brother. So middle school is not going well for Grace.
Ouch.
Yeah. She's just kind of like, what do I do now? Because you're my two best friends. Who do I sit with at lunch? What do I do? She ends up in a group project with a girl in the grade above her named Cam, who, well, at first Grace thinks she's real awesome. You know, she finds out that Amy caused some trouble, and so she starts teasing Amy. Gets a little out of hand, though. And so Grace has to kind of figure out who she is. And, does she really want to be friends with Cam? Does she really hate being in school with her brother? Yeah. It's real good. Graphic novel, of course, if I didn't mention that. It's very similar in art style to the Berrybrook Middle School series by Svetlana Chmakova. So if you like those, awkward, brave crush, it's got a similar style to it.
So when we finish, I want you to tell me what middle school was like for you.
Okay.
Was it good or bad? Well, hold it.
At the end, okay.
At the end, we'll talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next one is called The Boys in the Back Row, and this was written by Mike Jung. And this is about two boys, Matt, who is our main character, and Matt, he and his best friend Eric. Well, they're real nerdy guys, right? They're band geeks and they're comic book nerds. And you know, life probably if either one of them were just hanging out on their own could be pretty rough. But they have each other, and they've been best friends since 4th grade, and so they really have each other's back. And it's kind of that sense of that you can be a slight misfit, but if you have that one friend, that one loyal friend that you can hang out with, and you know you're kind of soulmates in a way, that then you can just get through so much. And that this book really is about that. They both are in band. Now, when Matt first started joining band, and he's very musically talented, he was a flute player, and he didn't find out until he signed up to play the flute section in the band.
Was he the only boy?
It was.
Yep.
It is. Flute is a girl's instrument, and he was the only boy in the flute section, and he got teased about it. Mm-hmm. And so now that he's in middle school, and in their school, the band is like part of the year it's orchestra and part of the year it's marching band. It's combined. So when it's the marching band, he plays the piccolo, and when it's orchestra, he plays the flute. But when he gets to middle school, he decides he's going to join his best friend Eric in the back row playing drums, which is kind of boring, but he gets to be close to Eric. But you know, it's common knowledge around their school that those two guys are like best buddies. And so when they get to middle school, they become the target of homophobic bullying like everybody teasing them because they're boyfriend. You know, and it's kind of interesting how the two of them deal with that, because at one point they look at each other and say, "Are you gay?" And the guy, "Well, I like girls." "Yeah, me too. I don't think I'm gay. I don't think I'm gay either." But it makes them kind of talk that out. And I love Matt's parents. Matt's parents are these super, like, Unitarian, politically involved, NPR listening, against toxic masculinity, quinoa, tofu eating
so
parents.
It's you.
Oh, shut up. Okay, I own it. But they're so affectionate to him, and they really give him, between these parents and his friend Eric, it gives him such a firm foundation when it comes to standing up against bullying. And they find out that they're going to go, their band is going to go to, what's that big amusement park outside of Cincinnati that people
Island?
Kings Island. There's like a Kings Island in the state where they live, and they're going to go to this in the spring, this big band competition there.
Those are fun.
And in the meantime, they also find out that Eric is going to have to move across the country because of his mother's job. So at the same time as the band competition, is going to be Comic-Con with their favorite comic author in the downtown of the city where the band competition. So they decide their last adventure, these two guys who never break a rule, never get in trouble, they are going to sneak out, and they're going to go to Comic-Con and meet their favorite comic book author. Let me tell you, it just does not go according to plan.
No, it couldn't.
Boys in the Back. I just loved every page of this book.
That sounds amazing.
It's really good. It's really good. Me. Oh! Go ahead.
Oh, I love both of these books. Which one? I give both of these next two 5 stars.
I think you just talked about a girl, talk about boys, and then talk about a girl.
Okay, that's fair.
Main characters.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
That's what I'm doing. I'm alternating here.
Yeah, okay. So, I've got Black Boy Joy, edited by Kwame Mbalia, our beloved author of Tristan Strong. He is just fantastic. I follow him on Twitter, and he makes me laugh a lot. He's great. If you haven't followed him online or read his books, do both those things.
He's so good.
Yes. So, this phrase, Black Boy Joy, I should remember who came up with it, and I meant to write that down, and I didn't do it because I'm bad. Shame on me. There we go. The term was coined back in 2016 by Danielle Jung and has grown to encompass the revelry, the excitement, the sheer fun of growing up as boys in and out of the hood. Their stories, our stories, deserve to be highlighted on the afternoon news, explored, seen, and celebrated. So,
just a tidbit. For such a long time, the books that featured African American characters,
trauma.
There was a lot of trauma, racism, violence. That was almost all that the literature contained, and this is kind of a
this is
response
just
to that.
Happy, joyful, and there's a little bit of sadness, but as one of the characters says, where did I write that quote? There we go. Sadness is but one side of the coin. Necessary, must be expressed if we're to discover the other 3 sides. 3. Fear, anger, and joy, all part of the same 4-sided coin. So, my favorite, everything about this is great. I haven't finished it, but every story I've read has been amazing, fantastic. Oh, so good. It's actually in a bit of a frame story, which is fun. So, we start with a short part of a story by Kwame Mbalia, The Griot of Grover Street. It's in 3 parts throughout the book. So, Fortitude Jones, called Fort usually, is at the homegoing, or, as he says, that's a silly name because it's just a funeral, for his, I'm not quite certain if it's a family friend or if she was really his aunt. Either way, very close. He loved this lady, and he kind of can't take it, so he runs out of the church, and all out of nowhere, this dude comes, and they, run into each other. And the guy has the words, he's very peculiar looking, and he has this crazy hat, and it says, Gary the Griot, written on it. I had to Google what a griot was, because I didn't know. So, according to the internet,
Which is never wrong.
Yeah. A griotte is a member of a class of traveling poets, musicians, and storytellers who maintain a tradition of oral history in parts of West Africa.
I'd never heard of that either.
I hadn't, yeah, so that's a fun little learning tidbit there for me. Fortitude, he runs into this dude, then things go everywhere, and the guy's like, oh no, not the jar! The joy jar is broken! And Fort's like, what? This guy's a little crazy. And his mom comes out and is screaming and is like, what have I told you about looking where you're going? And she's like, oh, hey, Mr. G. And he's like, you know this guy? And so, the garage of Grover Street is like, it's okay. He could just kind of help me fill this jar back up. So they go into the between, and they're blowing these bubbles, and as they grow, there are stories that they can kind of see bits and pieces of. And then, what do you know? Those are the stories contained in the book. And it's, I love that it's put together that way.
That's sort of like a nod to Tristan Strong, too.
A little bit.
Because the story plays such a big role in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a delightful, and just, I mean, I can't talk about all of the stories, but everyone I have loved. My favorites thus far, though, are, there's going to be a fight in the cafeteria on Friday, and you better not bring Batman. That's the name. Yep. First Day Fly, which is a poem about a dude who's trying to decide what he wants to wear to school on the first day, so he looks fly. And then also, Got Me a Jetpack, which is another one of my favorites thus far. They are all so good. Like I said, yeah, there's a little bit of sadness, but it's, you can tell the joy after that. And, oh, yes. Everybody needs to read this.
Nice.
So good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. All right, so my next one, which is going to feature a main character that was a girl, although there's also two boy characters in this book that are really important. And this girl, her name is Avon. And, I didn't even tell you the name of the book.
No.
Let me try this again. The Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus. And it was written by Dusty Bowling. And Avon is a girl. She's lived all of her life in one small town. So a lot of people have seen her all their lives, and they don't really even notice her disability anymore. Avon was born without arms. And she is an adopted child. Her parents adopted her when she was 2, and they have demanded complete independence of her. So she has had to learn how to do almost everything with her feet. Now, she uses a couple of tools. She has a hook and some straps, but she can eat with her feet, she can type with her feet, she can draw with her feet, she can dress herself, brush her teeth, brush her hair. She says she can even take care of herself in the bathroom, just don't ask how. So she's very, very independent. And like I say, everyone in her town's used to seeing her, so nobody even blinks when she sits in the cafeteria and eats with her feet. But her father has lost his job, money's getting tight, and he gets a job offer to move out to, I believe it's Arizona, to run a tourist destination. It is called the Stagecoach Pass. And it's like a little old western village with little stores and rodeo kind of thing, and it's pretty much dead. But they're going to pay him, they're going to pay her mother to go out there and run this place, and they get a place to live. And so Avon's got to move across country in her, I believe she's in 7th grade. I can't quite, she's in middle school. And kind of start all over again where people aren't used to looking at her. And she is mortified about what to do. And she gets there, and the kids are whispering, and they're staring at her. And, she goes, before lunch, she always wears like little flats, like this kind of shoe. And she goes in the bathroom and washes her feet before she's going to eat. And she realizes that she can't go out there in the cafeteria and eat with her feet. It will just be too awful. And so the first day she eats in the bathroom, and that's just too gross. I can't do that again. So she finds a place out. She decides to go search for someplace outside where she can be kind of hidden away because she's really hungry. And she passes, over her times of going outside to eat lunch, she encounters 2 boys. One is Connor. And Connor is already a complete outcast because he has something called Tourette's syndrome. And if you don't know what Tourette's syndrome is, it is a ticking disorder where people make movements and sounds and sometimes even speech out, that's out of their control. So, they might be, twitching like that. I have a daughter with Tourette's, and so it's something I'm used to. So I was interested to see how they were going to portray it in here. So he has a lot of head tics, and he makes barking sounds a lot, and he's just, kids they just don't want to have anything to do with them. So that's who she first makes friends with, and they really connect because they both, they have that kind of outsider feel, but they also like each other. They get along really well. And then they also connect with a fellow named Zion, who always eats outside by himself. Zion is very overweight. He's very heavy, and kids tease him all the time, and he just can't stand to eat in front of people because he knows they're just going to sit there and, make pig noises at him and that kind of thing, and he just can't bear it. So the three of them find each other, and they develop a friendship, and but they start hanging out at the Stagecoach Pass with Avon because it's just kind of a cool place to explore. And there's a lot of mystery about the family that owns this. There's like a little museum in there, and the family that currently owns Stagecoach Pass, it's clear somebody has removed their picture from the history of this tourist site's been there a long time. And they find a locked up shed that they managed to break into, but they kind of, in their mind, they're convinced there's a murder. There's been like a murder or a scandal. And so they're trying to solve the mystery of this while figuring out, how to navigate friendships. And Avon starts talking Connor into going to a Tourette syndrome support group, which she likes because even though she doesn't have Tourette's, she feels like an outsider like the rest of them, and they share what that's like. So anyway, it's the unraveling of the mystery, which is going to have a very direct relationship to Avon's life. It's not just a little mystery to be solved, but it's actually going to, what she discovers things about herself and her family. And there's a sequel to it too.
And there's a spin-off chapter book series. So if you're not quite to this point,
for young kids,
Avon
right.
Green, there's 2 books in the series section now that we got.
Yeah, early readers, right. So insignificant events in the life of a cactus, which I think is kind of neat because the Paralympics are going on right now.
Oh, yes.
And I think that her character was perhaps inspired. There's a really great archer without arms, and he was adopted, and his parents just made him do everything on his own, and he's like this world-renowned archer now. It's just really cool.
Yeah, nice. All right. So my last book, I read this yesterday, and I read it in one sitting because it is so good.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So this is Dress Coded by Carrie Firestone, and I will preface my review by saying that we are considering moving this to the teen section. The protagonist is 14, she's in 8th grade, and it's a little bit older, so this is not going to be for our younger tweens, just as a heads up.
But what about like a 12-year-old? Would you think that?
I think that, yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely at the very high end of tweens, and it will not, yeah. That's where we're gonna leave that. Okay, so, Dress Coded by nope, not by Molly Frost. That's the main character's name. Molly Frost has witnessed something that she just doesn't think is right. She has a lot of friends, but one in particular, Olivia, was dress coded by the principal and also another teacher. Overkill, drastic overkill. They pulled her, she was in the hallway going to get her phone to call a family member to bring her a new pair of pants, and she had her sweatshirt wrapped around her waist, and so she was just in her tank top, and that was against the dress code. And so she got pulled out of the hallway and completely yelled at. She refused to take the hoodie off her waist. For, if you're a girl who has hit a certain age, she had started her period, and one of her friends was like, hey, you're wearing white pants and things have happened. And so she was trying to get a new pair of pants. But, of course, the principal and this other teacher did not care in the least. And Molly saw this whole thing happen. She was running late to school, she ran through the woods, and she happened into the garden, and she's like, this is not okay. Not at all. So she starts a podcast. She calls it Dress Coded. And as it goes through, it becomes, well, the reason she was extra upset is because the principal had said that if there were no more dress code violations for the rest of the year, the 8th grade was going to go on this huge camping trip altogether. But there had to be no dress codes. And of course, this happens, and Olivia gets blamed by the entire 8th grade for the fact that they can't go on this camping trip now. And Molly's like, that's not fair. This is ridiculous in the first place. Like, come on now, just because I'm wearing a tank top, boys can't pay attention to school anymore. You pulled me out of my class where I could be learning to tell me that I was dressed inappropriately. And so Molly starts this podcast, and very quickly, like, the entire town is listening to this podcast. The principal is up in arms because he's like, I didn't do anything wrong, blah, blah, blah. And there's a great bit where Molly, she has her phone on because she's gotten called to the principal's office, and she turns her voice recorder on and records the entire conversation and is like, here's a special episode of my podcast. And from then on, you can't take your phone into the principal's office. You have to leave it in a little baggie outside.
I know some politicians that do that.
Yeah.
They don't let you record them.
Yeah. So, all this, Molly also has a little bit of a complex about a sibling because her older brother, Danny, is a bad dude. He's given their parents, like, serious anxiety. He's just always into... He's gotten a bunch of the middle schoolers hooked on vaping.
Oh my
He's the local vape dealer, which is just... And their mom is just like, here are all these facts. Vaping is not good. It's not better than the cigarettes. It's just as bad. Here's all these things. Why are you doing this to us? And her mom is just like losing it. And so because Molly, she's the good kid. She just keeps doing it. So she can kind of do whatever she wants, basically. And she doesn't abuse it, I wouldn't say, but she feels a little left out because of how much time and effort her parents are putting into her crappy older brother. So she's dealing with that at home, and then she's also dealing with friends. One of her best friend is a boy, and he's like, hey, I kind of like your other friend there. Can you help me out? And she's like, ooh, no, I'm sorry. He's a really great dude. I love him, but I have a crush on someone else. And she's like, I can't tell him. And then it all comes out, and it's a mess. There's a whole lot. But it's about protesting things that you think are wrong. Friendship, crushes. Middle school can be hard, even without the pressure of being dress coded all the time. One of the other teachers, they literally don't know her name. They just call her Fingertip because she's always like, fingertips! Do your shorts reach the bottom of your fingertips? And she's just always, it is bad. Like, I mean, I've been dress coded before, but like, this is bad. And it's never enforced equally, which, as they find out, is illegal. And so that's part of the thing. They're like, this isn't okay. None of this is okay. And so it's them, a bunch of middle school girls, and even the guys get in on it. Then they are protesting their school dress code.
Cool.
It's so good.
It sounds good. I was telling Kelly I wasn't even allowed to wear pants in school. We had to wear dresses all the time until my junior year. They gave us permission to wear pants. Woo! All right, well, my last one, this is the very last one, and I'm going to make this short, although this is my favorite of all these books, and it's called Ms. Bixby's Last Day, and it was written by John David Anderson, who I really love him a lot, and I love this book a lot. This book is like a tribute to great teachers. Ms. Bixby is a great teacher. She's one of these teachers that when she looks at you, you feel like she really sees you. She sees your talent. She sees your gift. She sees you as a person. She's always challenging your kids to think, be creative. Every day she's got a new quote up on the blackboard, so they really think about these quotes. And anyway, she's just this great teacher. And there are these three guys that are really close friends. And it's been a while since I've read this. I have to kind of look at my notes again. One of them is Topher, and Topher is very good at art. And he discovers that Ms. Bixby will go through the recycling bin at the end of the day and pull out his drawings that he's doodled during the day. And she's keeping a file. And she has several students that she's kept files on of their art because she thinks it's so
Aw.
good. Topher. So, and then there's his best friend who is, who's the second one? Steve's. No, Topher. Brand. Brand is his best friend. And Brand is really having a lot of struggles at home. His mother died some years ago, and his father was in an accident and has become really disabled. And he's really depressed, and there's no functioning going on in his home. And, you know, Brand's too young to drive. He has to walk 2 miles to the grocery store and carry the groceries back by hand. Miss Bixby finds out and arranges so on Friday they do their grocery shopping together. She's just that kind of person. The third guy is Steve, and Steve is on the autism spectrum. And he doesn't make the same kind of emotional connections, but he and Topher have always been really good friends, and Topher's kind of introduced him to the idea of creativity. And he's a little bit jealous of Brand kind of coming in their friendship. But the three of them really, you know, Brand is really kind to Steve. And now, while I will say that Topher and Brand probably have a crush on Miss Bixby, because not only is she just really a wonderful person, she's also young and pretty darn attractive. And they all have a crush on her, except for Steve, because he just doesn't make those same emotional connections. But anyway, early on in the school year, Miss Bixby is diagnosed with pancreatic duct cancer. And it's very bad. And she's going to be there for a few more weeks until she's going to go up to, they're in Massachusetts, I believe, and she's going to go to Boston to get these treatments where they've treated her type of cancer. It's going to be several weeks, so they're planning this big going away party for her. But her cancer progresses so fast, she like about a week later, she doesn't even come in. The substitute's already there. So these boys, they're going to have Ms. Bixby's going away party. They've got to figure out how to get across town and collect these things that they want for her party, the things that they have picked up that she really likes. And it is quite the road trip for these boys to get across the city and purchase the white chocolate cheesecake and the Moscato wine and the other things that they want to take to Ms. Bixby for her party. And I tell you, when they give money to the guy outside the liquor store to get that wine for them, it does not go well. So the book is very funny. And it's that book, it makes you laugh, it makes you cry. You are going to cherish every character in this book, and you're going to cherish Ms. Bixby. It is a wonderful book. Ms. Bixby's Last Day by John David Anderson. Those are my four. I talk too much. I'm sorry. So what was middle school like for you, Kelly?
You know, it was okay. I was super nerdy. I had my group of friends. But, you know,
Yeah?
yeah, middle school was,
Kind of a holding spot?
yeah,
Yeah.
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 You?
Well, it was a mixed time. I think socially it was a hard time, but it was also a time where I began to understand things about my passions. Like I had a teacher that introduced me to poetry, and how much I love poetry and literature both, and I discovered drama. And that's when I first started going, because I majored in theater in college. So, you know, really good things happened. I found my best friend, two best friends in in middle school. And one of them still one of my best friends. So, you know, but it was very awkward.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the awkwardness.
Yeah.
Yike.
And
Bullying.
speaking of dress codes, that's my 7th grade year at Scott County Middle School, because I, born and raised here in Georgetown, they decided they were going to go hardcore on that dress code, and it was khaki pants or skirts. You had to wear, like, polo tops. They were like...
Uniform.
It was uniforms.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they pulled it back a little bit the next year. I don't even know if they still do that at all, but, like, it was uniform. We had to wear uniforms, and it was terrible. I wore a lot of really weird socks because there were not rules about socks. And so I could get away with it.
All right. Well, these are some great reads. If you want more suggestions, come in and see us here at the library.
Yeah.
Kelly and I are here all the time.
Yep.
Listen, have a great school year, and please, please, please stay safe.
Yes. We will see you, I will see you next week for a craft along.
Oh, nice, nice. And I'll see you back in maybe sooner if we do science together, but certainly in a month we're going to do mysteries. in
Yes, that's
October.
right.
Mysteries.
Yeah. Bye, guys.